Linda K. Gifford, CSA survivor here. Has my educating and advocating pushed a few buttons? Evidently it has. Good. I'm here to push a few buttons. I'm here to push billions of buttons because I'm done. I'm done accepting the misogyny and the patriarchy and the marginalization of women in this world. I'm done. We need to change that. So we're CSA survivors, and mostly we talk about how to save ourselves. You know how we've been working every week through a letter of my trigger management guide, and here we are at E, almost to the end. Educate and advocate. Also ecstasy and enthusiasm. It's a lot of good E words, but here we are. We know the shame is not ours. We've separated the past from the present at length, and we'll continue to do so. We are going to ask for what we want and not just take what's given. We're moving on. We're not waiting to feel okay to be okay. We're getting out there in life. I've told you don't have to forgive. I've taught you what true manifestation is and how easy it is just to kick shit out of it. We've moved through all these steps. We've gone into understanding that belief is not something you have in something else that someone tells you, but something you have in your own ability to create the life you want. And I've taught you that creation is the removal of things in your life you don't want. It's not so hard. Creation sounds hard. I'm not a creative type. It's like, no. All you have to do is kick the stuff out of your life that doesn't fit your vision. So having a vision is what's important, and that brings me to where I wanted to get to with this whole thing in this E week of spades, educate and advocate. It's time. Oh, why is it? It's telling me I have to swipe. I don't know why. Okay. Sorry, my phone's giving me tips that I just don't need or want at the moment. Maybe I need them, but so we're gonna assume that you've made progress in all of these areas. So now, what to do with that forgiveness you haven't found, what to do with those hateful thoughts and feelings that you still have. And as I've always said, and will continue to say, you are warranted to them. I don't in any way think anybody should give up or think that there's something wrong with them for hating a person who raped them. I hate my assaulter. I'm not suffering from any religious belief that tells me that hate's going to put me in hell. I don't believe in such nonsense. If you do, I may not be the coach for you. I'm a realist, okay? That notwithstanding, the last S in spades, which we will get to next week, is spirit. And I'm all about spirit, and I'm all about God in the world, which is the force of goodness, kindness, love, the good stuff. You can call it God. I agree to call that God, you know. If you think that there's predetermination and you listen to people trying to tell you that there's some kind of a plan, and this is an insulting thing for you to say to a CSA survivor. Oh, well, look, God did this so that you would go out and help other people. It's like, fuck you. God, if there was such an entity that I would be willing to follow at least, would not purposefully kill people and hurt people and have them raped and tortured and blown to bits. So if there's a God in control of this stuff, then we all need to rebel against God right now. I'm not purporting we should do that. I'm purporting that you go poof and realize that that is all fairy tales. Your life is real. You're a real CSA survivor. The animosity you feel towards the person who assaulted you sexually is fine and real. But that being said, letting it eat you up all the time will keep you in that category one person that I told you I cut off more people than not that I talk to. If early on I can tell that they're not going to let go. All they want to do is hate, right? Well, you don't have to love. Love is not the antidote to hate all the time. Sometimes the antidote to hate is just setting it aside, putting it in a file. Use your extreme dissociation skills that we've all learned and I talked about for a whole week. And instead of dissociating against yourself and putting yourself in situations you don't want to be in, saying yes when you mean no, across the board from the bed to the boardroom, you now can take your power and live only the life you want to live and have only the relationships you want to have. And part of doing that is educating yourself as to some things that I'm convinced from my own experience that you are missing. If you're an average CSA survivor, you may be confusing intimacy with sex. And great sex and intimacy should and do go hand in hand sometimes. But I, as a CSA survivor, got married and divorced 3 times before I ever knew that was a thing. I didn't think I had sexual problems at all. And until I discovered a higher level of sex that involved not just me doing my part, but me actually wanting to be there, me chemically being attracted, me having the outer body experience 2 people can have together. And now that I know that's real, I'm like on a mission. Yes. So those who call me a slut, okay, whatever. I have one partner and then I will be with for the rest of my life. And like to the point that even if I like lost them, I think I'm probably done because it's that good. It's that good. Combining true respect and intimacy. And this couldn't have happened for me until I realized that I had a certain set of things that all of us CSA survivors have that we do. And dissociation is one of them. And it's been bad. So you need to educate yourself as to where and how you dissociate. And to do that, I recommend you stick with me because we're going to start right back at the top. After next week, when we do spirit all week, then we're going to go back to the top and start with the shame is not yours, leading into separating the past from the present. That's the S and the P. We'll just cycle around. I'm finishing my manuscript right now. And usually I don't booze it up on camera, but I did pour myself a Sauvignon Blanc with blackberry seltzer because I've been working hard and practically around the clock. I'll tell you the truth. Who's here? What's going on? Hello. Hi, Mamad. Just saying hi. So yeah, if you don't educate and advocate, who will? If we didn't feel comfortable talking about what happened to us being groomed as children, how will the next generation and this generation be comfortable speaking up? You know, if we don't teach ourselves that there are higher levels of pleasure, and that we don't just need to be something for somebody else, but they need to be something for us too, then how will we ever be whole? How will we ever be offering a whole person to another person? You can't be to your partner. I said we were going to talk more about partners today, so that's where we're going with this. Partners can be hung up. I've talked with a lot of partners of CSA survivors too, and oftentimes some of them are like, they want out. They want out. And that is the biggest fear of the CSA survivor who's got the partner, is like, they're desperately afraid of losing the relationship a lot of the time. And if you're one of those people desperately hanging on to a relationship where nobody's happy, is just so not fulfilling. There's so much more that awaits you out there. And you don't need to be scared of not being loved, because you just need to love yourself and everybody else will fall in line. You will manifest reality simply by removing from it the things that you don't feel comfortable with. And if that happens to be your partner or your husband, I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater immediately. You might examine the baby after you clean up the bathwater. We're cleaning up the bathwater. Does anybody understand this analogy? Because my kid was baffled when I said this. About, like, the what? Throw the baby? Why would you throw the baby out with the bathwater, Mom? Why would you do that? Like, it's an analogy. It's an analogy. It's saying don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. My kid's like, well, why would you ever consider throwing the baby out with the bathwater? Like, I would. Just never mind. But hopefully you know what I mean. So we clean up the water, we clean up our understanding. We start being a different person, and maybe our partners can appreciate us differently. We make damn sure that we don't turn our partners into our therapist because they don't want to be that. They want someone to share life with and have orgasms with and live a deeper, truer intimacy with, and turning like giving your partner CPTSD themselves, or not, they don't have the complex because it didn't happen to them, but I don't recommend telling your partner every single thing that ever happened to you. Just the gist of the matter. Hey, I'm a CSA survivor. It might rear its ugly head now and then, but I've learned not to freak out. Here, if I look a little off or whatever, I don't want to talk hugely about it. Just be aware, and I'll get it under control and move on. And you can do that, and I've taught you how. And we'll circle back around. That's too much to go into now, but separating the past from the present is most of what we do here. That's most of what I do. Just the baseline, and all the other letters of spades support each other. You don't learn one and then you graduate and you go on to another letter. You just keep them all in mind. That's why spades means abundance, right? And it jumped out at me in looking for a way to make it easy to remember. And obviously you start with number one, the shame's not yours. The shame's not yours. The shame's not yours. And then you always, the next thing everyone talks to me about is their PTSD experiences, your CPTSD, complex meaning it happened in childhood and repeatedly. So you can have PTSD or CPTSD and still be here talking about this with me. I look like an evil superhero, don't I? It was kind of an accident. I have on my my kids' holy sweats. I always inherit. My friends tell me I look like a teenage boy mostly. And then everything I'm wearing is from my store, recycled sea glass. I was watching Dr. Lish today, doing meditation with her, and she had on a sea glass necklace. And I was like, oh, we sell that at my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, except I don't think I have any right now. Our inventory changes all the time. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. I just suddenly got this vision that I was some kind of an evil superhero. But I'm not evil. I'm here to... maybe I should be the super O, because I'm all about sexual pleasure and intimacy, because that's what I feel I was deprived of the most. And, when girls are commoditized, and in most of the world we are, women don't even have a choice who they're going to marry in much of the world, and really most, the strings are being pulled by somebody else, and gross atrocities can also happen, like getting sold to your rapist by your father because you're ruined now, and being shipped off to have sex with some guy in the middle of the woods in a tribe a Maasai tribe in Africa, and just be glad when he brings home another wife because she has to have some of the babies now, and then be glad when you have daughters because you can trade them for livestock. Hence, yesterday's don't trade your daughter for a cow, which I would think should be very understood, but evidently you should know that it's not. You should know and understand that most women in the world are so marginalized as to be non-existent and just suffering, and then we're told to respect others' cultures. Well, don't. I'm here to insist that you educate and advocate on behalf of all women all over the world, and never, ever, ever let some nice church lady of any denomination, because I have had this fight, try to tell you that it's their culture. Including the worst ones will be themselves. The women in these cultures will tell you it's fine. Right? But they have to. It's just like conservative women being the best dumbass conservative woman, because they rise up in male culture. If they're the ones disparaging against women themselves and saying women's place is in the home and anti-abortion and force that on people, and if they're doing all that, right, and they're rising in the ranks of the people that hate them, and they think that's cool because it's better to be the best slave. It's better to be the preferred slave than the hated slave, right? Well, I don't want to be a slave at all. I don't want women to be slaves at all. I'm, literally have sleep problems, chronic sleep problems, where all my brain can think about is what to do in the world to make this better. And I founded my business, feelgoodfairtrade.com, 5 years ago. Will be 5 years in May. And we sell women artisan products, and I focus on pushing those from women being rescued from poverty and sex work. And it makes all the difference in their lives. And we pre-buy and keep it here, warehouse it here in America, and ship it to you in 3 to 5 days, just like Amazon. Maybe not quite as fast, but 3 to 5, still pretty good. And it's fair trade, and the money's going to people that can benefit from it. And then I founded the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and that's brand new. And you can go to GoFundMe or Facebook pages, and there's about to be a subscription and a sweetsurvivor.com website, which I've already bought, but it goes to feelgoodfairtrade.com right now, my store. And pretty soon, like in a matter of a couple days, because I just got it all set up to the point I got the pro package yesterday, so I can run the subscription and merchandise through sweetsurvivor.com. So I just have to transfer the domain from my Shopify store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, of 5 years, I said. Please buy. I'm going to transfer that, and boom, we're in business. So please do that. And anybody who wants to get in on group Zoom meetings where we're actually all interacting and talking to each other, I'm going to set up Zooms for anybody who is a subscriber. So for as little as $5 a month, for the price of a cup of coffee, as everybody says, you can be a subscriber and a sweet angel, as I'm calling it. And Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund stands for Survivors Will End Earth's Trafficking. Who better than those of us who have been turned into commodities to try to save those also being turned into commodities. Yes, I get triggered. Sometimes that would just send me into like massive tears of upset, but you know what? I don't have time for that anymore. I don't have time for that, and you don't either. So please get a grip on your CPTSD. Stick around, and we'll work on this, and we'll talk more and more about separating the past from the present and the future. But we all need to, while accepting what happened to you, all that means is, because people misguide you, and I want to educate you who not to listen to. Okay, you're going to get told all the time just forget about it. Can't do that. You can't do that unless you're on full dissociation, and that is not healthy. If you're stuffing that stuff down in your gut and you're never letting it out, not healthy. Yeah, you have to look at it. I recommend trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy. You can do it online by yourself now. Trigger warning, if you need to have someone with you, maybe have someone with you that you feel safe with. But stop not thinking about what happened to you and take some peaceful time to think about it. And then it's going to be in your right brain's going to put it out, because that's where your experience is. And that's why you get overwhelmed. That's why I do. Because sights, sounds, these things trigger you first. Before you have time to make a thought that's words, to use symbolism and memory and put it all together, you're already triggered, right? And that's the critical moment where you make a decision. Hopefully you learn not to just go full crazy, full rabbit hole. Instead you go, okay, and you get this conscious side says, I am remembering an event from my past, and I'm going to not go full crazy because I choose not to now, because I have educated myself through trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, and I have written down or used an art form, or in some way I have put pen or art to paper or wall or whatever, or notes. You've done something, actually it's a paper thing. You need to make a memory. And once you do, the next time that you have these CPTSD events start, you're always going to get that first, but then you can kick in the memory part, that you have now made a memory. You've now made it left brain because you looked at it instead of not thinking about it. You thought about it and you put it down. And then you can just take that and go, oh, I can qualify and quantify and whatever. I am a CSA survivor. I don't have to freak out. I just have to use that knowledge. And for me, there's so many things people say that just piss me off that they shouldn't say, including what I already said. Oh, well, this happened to you for a reason. So you can help other people. See? It's like, no, that's bullshit. Stuff happens and then we deal. This is my way of dealing. So don't also tell someone, well, you just have to have forgiveness. It's like, no, they don't. No, you don't. This is family. Family will often want you to forgive other family members. And why they want to stick around with a rapist, I don't know. And I'm drunk is not an excuse and whatever. But there are a lot of, I do know, actually, the reason is because this stuff doesn't just happen in one generation. You know, a woman putting up with her husband raping his stepdaughter, her child or son, you know, this happens all the time. And I talk to and know people. I know someone, I've worked with someone who's been raped by 3 family members, a brother and 2 stepfathers, and mother knew. And mother still wants her to forgive. Right? And I'm just like, this is why I preach, and I'll preach all day long. You do not need forgiveness. You do not have to forgive. That does not mean that you need to be eaten up with anger. It just means that, like everything else, make a file and file it away. Put it in the memory bank. It's information. Take hateful thoughts and turn them into a file that you put in there. Use that dissociative skill that you have and remove it from yourself now. You've thought about it. You've made a memory. You can say, okay, that sucked. I'm glad. It's fucked up that I'm in that club. I wish I wasn't, but I'm put away now. And then you can access the memory when you need to. And the way to deal with the latent anger and lack of forgiveness, because why should you, after all, right, is not to feel guilty about it yourself, not to feel guilty because some religion or some parent or someone says you need to forgive your brother for raping you repeatedly as a child. No, you don't. Not my brother, my brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law. No, I don't. And that's not going to screw up my life, and it's not going to make me a crazy person who goes to jail. You know, I'm not going to have blood on my hands. I think going public with this is probably been pretty good punishment for him. Every day I'm on here talking is also a vengeance is mine moment that I'm not ashamed of at all. Educating and advocating is your release. Trying to find perfect forgiveness, well, good luck. If you're that person, okay. I don't know why you would, though. I don't even want to. It's not even a goal. Not even on the radar. Not even on the radar. Anyway, I a total accident. I'm not so much a crystal person, but I'm not. And you know what I mean? This is hematite, and I do like the weight of it, and I do feel the need to be grounded today. And I'm going to do a crystal bowl meditation, actually. I recommend them. One thing you need to do in order to keep up the level of educating and advocacy that I want you to in the world, you're going to be worn out. So do take time for yourself. And my indulgence is baths. I took an over 5-hour bath a couple weeks back. And my normal baths last at least an hour, usually 2 or 3. Because I work online and I can work in the bathtub on my phone on a lot of what I do too. So that is my time. You take yours. Because I want you to get out there and kick some ass. So take some peaceful time for yourself and get out there and kick some ass. But I was considering doing like a crystal bowl meditation thing with those interested, because I used to do them on YouTube and have people ask me about that. So I'm gonna go by and maybe come back in a little bit once I get set up for that. And I've been this boot thing, and I have to take it off because it's pretty hard to sit and do any kind of meditation in a boot. But we're gonna continue talking about educating and advocating for the next couple days, and get a little bit deeper into culture, into various cultures, and into organizations that help. Like I, for one, work with the Malala Foundation. And my charities, the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. Please, live gifts go to Sweet. Merchandise will be available shortly. I just made it possible to make it available yesterday after building it all in the background. Now I just have to link it all together, and that's like what I'm anxious to go do. So I'm gonna get off and do that. I'm going to do that and get off, because getting off is important in this world, and educate yourself to be all about you, because only if you're all about you are you ever going to be able to be a full partner to somebody else, if that is your choice. And otherwise, who cares? You just need to be all about you anyway. Why be a person in life that's just trying to make other people happy? You deserve everything, not because of what happened to you, but because you're alive. We all do. We made it. Look at the chances of you not being here. If you're ever suicidal, think about the chances of you not being on this fucking earth. You made it. Through billions of sperm, through 80% potentially miscarriage rate before women even know they're pregnant. You made it through stardust to be here. And you are not your body. You are a non-physical being that inhabits this body right now. And when you die, which I did, I obviously didn't die, but I didn't breathe for 4 minutes, and I went out of my body and had the choice to stay there or come back, and met entities. And I talk all about that in on YouTube. There's one. Just go to YouTube, my page, same name, Linda K surviving in spades, actually. And then search for suicide. And it's actually a pretty interesting story, leading me not to be convinced. I'm never hugely convinced one way or the other about anything that's esoteric, but I like to keep my options open. And I do know that I was intact, whole, knew who I was, and had I left my body, I would still be such. I still have my associations. So that was comforting. It was very comforting. And I like to point that out to my friends who may be leaving this world sooner than later, or at least are struggling with that possibility that your body, just like with a CSA survivor or anybody that's been raped, they didn't take anything from you. Yeah, I'm pissed off that I didn't have the choice to not give, I don't even like that term, to share my body with someone. That should have been my choice. And in not doing it, it led to the problem of not knowing what intimacy is, because I never had the attraction. I never knew you could be chemically attracted to someone, like their sound or their voice and their scent. I never knew that you could just want them physically so badly. I just wanted a relationship with the people that I thought I was in love with, and I was in love with them, my 3 husbands, but I never told them what happened to me, and I never knew then that I wasn't capable of that kind of intimacy, because if the first time that you had sex and the second and maybe the first 100 you were raped, then it all becomes a different thing. You know, and if you're groomed and raped, you don't even know you're being raped. You think you're a guilty participant in the whole thing. It's just a mess emotionally. And that carries on, and it carries on, and you think you have sex just because you're doing the act. And you think, like, it's okay just because the other person seems happy, and you're measuring yourself by that. And that's all I mean by, you know, when I say go get your orgasm, I'm not looking all over town for it. I know exactly where to go for mine. And that's me or with my partner. And that's my choice. And it should have always been my choice. And learning that chemical bond exists didn't happen for me until I did the trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy and made the realization that it was missing in the first place. So we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. This is Educate and Advocate Week. I'm advocating for your joy. Your joy. From the boardroom to the bedroom. Your joy. Go get it. Talk to you tomorrow.